Hi, so today we're going to be looking at workout pants for Shawn T. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for choosing me to make your product. Let's get started. So what we'll be talking about today is what you want specifically, the other types of products, why those products don't fit your needs, and the product that fits your needs. When we talk about that, we're going to look into the characteristics of that product, why we chose this product, and a model of what the product looks like, and a bird's eye view, so when you're looking at it, not through when you're looking at it through a microscope, and then we're going to zoom in to what it looks like chemically, and what that formula truly means. So what Shawn T wants specifically are workout pants that are flexible, lightweight, breathable, and they look good, which is ultimately what a lot of people are considering when they are buying these pants and when they're telling their friends to buy them, because teenagers do wear yoga pants very often. Our budget was $50,000, and we're not quite sure if that's on a large scale or if it's on a smaller scale. When I say large scale, I mean worldwide and sold outside of the U.S. And I always say smaller scale, I mean just U.S. or certain states in the U.S. So what we took from what he wants are different chemical properties and physical properties. These are things that we also thought were important. So chemical properties are things that are happening inside that you can't actually see, but you know that they're happening due to scientific data and research. And physical properties are things you actually see and can feel. So with chemical properties, we want something that doesn't dissolve in water. When you are working out, you're sweating a lot. And if your pants dissolve and disappear in the middle of your workout, it's not a good idea to buy that product, and it discourages people. Also, it's just not a good thing to have in a product. It dries easily, meaning that after your workout is done, it may be a little wet, but by the time you get home or go out to the grocery store, it is dry, so you're not walking around with sweat stains everywhere you go. And it doesn't shrink. When you wash and dry something, sometimes the product shrinks, and that just isn't a great thing for people to have. The physical properties are it's low density, meaning it's lightweight. It's thin, but not see-through. There have been instances where workout pants have been see-through, and the products have had to be recalled and costed companies a whole bunch of money, and we really don't want that to happen with yours. It's bendable and flexible, meaning that if someone were to do kickboxing or boxing, they could kick the bag without having to worry about their pants ripping. And it's a stainless material, so when you sweat, if it gets on your pants, it doesn't stain it. Or if you get sunscreen on your pants or anything like that, if it does stain, you can get it off, but it's better if it doesn't. So what those terms mean to us, and what we can narrow those down to, are chemical properties and physical properties again. And the chemical properties would be absorbent, meaning specifically that when you look, that it's not like a sponge where it absorbs water and then you have to squeeze it out. What we mean is it absorbs it takes the liquid and it dries, which is very, very important to us. It's low density, like I said before. It's lightweight. It's a really good idea to have something that is lightweight. It has a low tensile strength. Low tensile strength is basically how much pressure you can put on something before it breaks. And we don't want something that's super hard or anything like that, which is why we're aiming for something a little bit lower. Low elasticity, meaning it stretches really easily. If you have a high elasticity, it's a lot harder to stretch. So the different categories that we were considering were metal, polymers, wood fibers, and ceramics. These categories are really important to us. And then we tested hardness, tensile strength, elasticity, and melting point. We chose to ignore melting point just because we're not going to be close to high temperatures. So if you look at metals, they're very hard. And that discouraged us a little bit from choosing something that is metal just because of how hard it is. And then if you look at the tensile strength, you notice that it is very high, meaning that it's a lot harder to break, not to break, but it's not good fabric material. And then it has a very high elasticity, and that discouraged us a little bit more. And then you look at polymers and you notice that it's not very hard, which is really what we're looking for, because we are looking for something that's soft. It has a low tensile strength, which is what we were looking for when we were trying to figure out which category to choose. It has a low elasticity, which is huge. That means it's very flexible, and that's exactly what we were looking for. If you look at wood fibers, you notice that hardness doesn't apply to them. So we had to pick and choose a little bit with that. It has a low tensile strength, and if the tensile strength is that low, it kind of makes you wonder about how good the material actually is. So we were discouraged from that. And then there's elasticity, and you notice that's similar to polymers, but it's not exactly a polymer material. And then you have ceramics. Ceramics are really, really hard, as you can tell, because when you look at metals, you notice that a metal is only from 90 to 1023, where ceramics are much higher, and the highest number is much bigger. Then you notice that the tensile strength is also very high, and so we started to realize that maybe ceramics aren't what we're looking for. So from this, we realized what we wanted from these categories, and we realized hardness doesn't matter to us specifically. We want a high tensile strength, a low tensile strength, a low elasticity, and the melting point doesn't really matter to us. One second, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Okay. Much better. And the melting point doesn't matter to us. So from those 4 categories, we were able to narrow it down to wood fibers and polymers. And then after a little bit more research on the different types of materials we can use, we realized that wood fibers aren't as flexible as we would like them to be, and so we were able to cross that out, and we decided to narrow it down to polymers. The fabric that is a polymer that best fits your needs is polyester. It has a low elasticity. I'm so sorry. Has a low elasticity and a low tensile strength, which is exactly what we were looking for. And you can see, if we were to go back, you see that it has a low tensile strength and a low elasticity, which is exactly what we were looking for when we were trying to pick your product. It's soft, which is very, very important, which is one of the things that Shawn too was looking for. And it's stylish. As you can see in the image here, these are polyester yoga pants, and they're very stylish. They have the purple things on top. Of course, yours doesn't have to have that. And they're breathable, which is very, very important, like we had said earlier in the slides, how that was important to us. So polyester, this is the chemical equation, O4C10H9. This basically means that polyester is composed of 4 oxygen, 10 carbons, and 9 hydrogens. Here are the bonds listed. Carbon has 4 bonds, oxygen has 2 bonds, and hydrogen has 1, which is the reason why there's so many carbons is because of the amount of bonds that they have, and that is also why there's so many hydrogens. So let's look at this from what this looks like from a bird's eye view. So here you can see that this is someone's yoga pants. And what these black solid lines right here represent are essentially the bonds between two strings of polymers, which is super, super important. So this is what it would look like when the pants are just hanging on the rack. And then when the person puts them on, they stretch. but not super stretched. They just stretch a little bit, which is what these dotted lines represent, are the forces in between molecules, the intermolecular forces between molecules that are happening when it stretches. But as you can also see, there are still bonds between the two strings of polymer. These purple dots here are the individual atoms in the polyester themselves. So now let's zoom in a little bit more. As you can see here, there are strings. This is what the fabric looks like before. And now we're at the point where we're seeing the exact chemical makeup. And you can see the 4 O's, the 9 C's, the 10 C's, and the 9 H's. So this consists of hydrogen bonds, which are the second strongest bonds, bonds between oxygen and hydrogen, as well as you can see some double bonding and some covalent bonding in this. These double lines here represent double bonding. If you're wondering if hydrogen and carbon is, they are not. The only things that are hydrogen bonds are nitrogen, oxygen, and fluoride, I think. As you can also see, carbon is bonded to carbon. What this little line represents right here, the squiggly line with this, is that this sequence continues on forever. It's much like a sequence of DNA where it doesn't stop. If you are to look at DNA under a thing, you notice that it just continues on and on forever, and it never really stops. And then there are these black brackets around it, and you see this little small line is connected to another version of this. This basically means that one of these purple molecules is bonded to another one of those molecules. It's the same thing. It has a hydrogen bond with the oxygen and hydrogen, as well as it has the double bonding and covalent bonds within its thing. This is essentially what is polymer in its most basic form. This is polymer. When dyes are added, it may change a little, but not enough to really affect the chemical makeup of it. So currently you're looking inside the molecule. So we're going to zoom in a little bit more. Again, you can see the carbons. There are exactly 10 carbons. And as you can tell, that there are large amounts of hydrogen in this too. You can also notice that oxygen is very present in both of these things. It's just a good thing to keep in mind that that this is the chemical makeup. So when you are trying to figure out which polyester to use, make sure it has this, looks like this, and has this chemical equation. All right. So key points. The fabric that you need is polyester. It's stretchy. It's difficult to break. It's a polymer. Polymers are exactly what you need. They fit all of the needs. The fabric itself is relatively cheap, so it will not be expensive to make when produced in large amounts. A large portion of workout pants and shirts are made of materials and fit the things that Shawn is looking for. I personally have some things that are made of polyester for when I go work out, and they're very nice. So thank you again. And if you want more information on polyester, because polyester is also used in household cleaning items as well as a fabric, and in parachutes, here is a website right here that you can use. It's very helpful. This is where I got most of my information. And I hope this is helpful. Thank you.